A Wali may be promoted without receiving anything the world calls a promotion. His name becomes smaller. His burden becomes heavier. His spiritual comforts disappear. And nobody knows why. But perhaps Allah is doing something terrifyingly beautiful, removing everything that could make the servant notice his own rank. Because the highest rise may begin when you stop needing to know how high you have risen. If this touched something deep in you, comment, "Keep my heart sincere, Ya Allah." Lesson 1. When your old station rejects you, there comes a strange moment in the journey toward Allah, when the place that once gave your heart peace no longer feels the same. The prayers are still there, the worship is still there, the people around you may see no difference, but inside, something has changed. What once satisfied your soul now feels too small. This does not always mean you are becoming distant from Allah. Sometimes it means Allah is calling you deeper. A servant may spend years learning patience, trust, silence, and surrender. Then one day, the same lessons begin to feel different. The heart is asked to carry more. The old comfort disappears. The old spiritual sweetness becomes weaker. Why? Because you cannot remain forever at the same level. A child cannot stay in the first class after learning everything that class was meant to teach. In the same way, Allah may remove the comfort of an old spiritual state because your soul is being prepared for something greater. This can feel painful. You may wonder, why do I not feel what I used to feel? You may think something is wrong. But sometimes the old door closes because you have already received what was behind it. Now Allah is teaching you to worship without needing strong feelings, to trust without seeing signs, to remain loyal when there is no excitement, to obey when the heart feels empty. This is where deeper sincerity begins. The lower station needed comfort to keep you moving. The higher station may ask you to move because Allah is enough. So do not immediately fear the season when your old spiritual world stops satisfying you. Perhaps you are not being pushed away. Perhaps your old station can no longer hold the servant Allah is teaching you to become. Lesson 2. The moment your invisible rank changes. There are moments when Allah changes a servant's place without changing anything the world can see. Your clothes remain the same. Your home remains the same. Your name remains the same. People still speak to you as they did yesterday. But before Allah, something has changed. And this is one of the deepest mysteries of the spiritual path. A higher rank does not always arrive with more comfort. Sometimes it arrives with more responsibility. Suddenly, things you once ignored begin to disturb your heart. A careless word feels heavier. A hidden intention becomes harder to tolerate. Praise begins to feel dangerous. Showing off becomes painful. Even a small distance from Allah feels greater than before. Why? Because the heart that is being raised can no longer live comfortably at its old level. Allah may begin asking from you what He did not ask from you before. More patience when nobody understands you. More mercy toward those who hurt you. More control over your anger. More honesty inside your worship. More silence when your ego desperately wants to defend itself. This is why an invisible promotion can first feel like pressure. You expected elevation to make life easier. Instead, Allah makes your heart more responsible. The world sees an ordinary person, but inside, a new standard has begun. Things that once passed through your heart freely are now stopped at the door. This is not necessarily punishment. It may be training, because when Allah entrusts a servant with greater spiritual responsibility, He first teaches that servant to carry what others cannot see. So if your inner life suddenly becomes more serious, do not only ask, "Why is this becoming harder?" Ask something deeper. What if Allah is asking more from me because He is teaching me to carry more? The invisible rank changes before the visible life ever does. And sometimes, the first person who does not realize you have been raised is you. Lesson 3. When Allah takes back the signs. One of the hardest stages of the spiritual path begins when the signs that once comforted you suddenly disappear. The deep feeling in prayer becomes quiet. The tears stop coming. The beautiful moments become rare. The answers do not appear as quickly. You begin to wonder, did I lose my closeness to Allah? But this is where many people misunderstand the journey. Sometimes the sign is removed because your heart has started depending on the sign more than the one who gave it. At the beginning, Allah may give a servant sweetness, a strong feeling, a sudden answer, a moment that makes the heart feel alive. These things can help a weak heart move forward. But a deeper servant must learn something harder: to remain faithful even when nothing is felt, to pray when the heart feels dry, to trust when no clear answer appears, to continue when there is no emotional reward. Because if you only worship when you feel close, then perhaps you are still following the feeling. But when the feeling disappears and you still bow before Allah, something deeper is being born: sincerity. Now you are not saying, "I worship because I feel something." You are saying, "I worship because you are Allah." This is a frightening change for the ego. The ego loves proof. It loves special feelings. It loves believing it is different from everyone else. So sometimes the servant must walk through a season where every spiritual mirror becomes dark. No applause, no strange experiences, no feeling of being special, only Allah. And that may be the real test. A hidden wali is not known by how many signs appear around him. He is known by what remains when the signs disappear. If your worship survives the silence, if your trust survives the darkness, if your heart still chooses Allah when there is nothing left to impress you, then perhaps the signs were not taken to empty you. Perhaps they were taken so that nothing would stand between you and Allah anymore. Lesson 4. The secret office of a wali. There is a stage in the spiritual journey where a servant may be given a responsibility that nobody around him can see. No title, no position, no public recognition, no crowd saying, "This person is special." Nothing on the outside may change. And yet, inside, the servant begins to carry something completely different. This is what we can call the secret office of a wali. Not an office made of walls, not a rank people can announce, not a position that gives a person fame. It is a hidden responsibility before Allah. And this is where the path becomes serious, because many people imagine spiritual elevation as receiving something: more peace, more knowledge, more respect, more spiritual experiences. But sometimes Allah raises a servant by giving him more to carry. The servant begins to feel the pain of people more deeply. He becomes more careful with his words. He cannot easily hate the person who hurt him. He cannot enjoy exposing someone's weakness. He cannot feel proud simply because he knows more. His heart becomes responsible for things that once meant nothing to him. Someone insults him. His ego wants revenge, but something inside says, "You have been taught better than this." Someone wrongs him. He has the power to humiliate them, but his heart says, "Leave their matter with Allah." Someone praises him. Instead of becoming bigger inside, he becomes afraid. He knows how quickly praise can enter the heart and build a hidden throne for the ego. This is the secret office. It is not about what people give you. It is about what Allah begins requiring from you. The higher the servant rises in character, the less freedom the ego is allowed to have. Before, anger could control him for days. Now one moment of uncontrolled anger troubles his heart. Before, he could speak badly about another person and forget it. Now one careless sentence may remain heavy inside him all night. Before, he wanted people to understand him. Now he is learning to remain peaceful, even when they misunderstand him. This is not weakness, this is training, because spiritual responsibility begins when the servant stops asking, "What am I allowed to do?" and begins asking, "What would please Allah most here?" That is a completely different life. A person may have every right to answer harshly, but forgiveness may be higher. He may have every chance to show that he was correct, but silence may protect his heart. He may have knowledge that could impress others, but hiding it may protect his sincerity. He may do something beautiful for Allah, but telling nobody may be the real victory. This is why some of the greatest changes in a servant happen where nobody can clap for them. The world celebrates what can be seen. Allah knows what happens in the hidden places of the heart. The world may never know how many arguments you chose not to continue, how many people you forgave without receiving an apology, how many tears you hid, how many temptations you walked away from, how many times your ego screamed, "Defend yourself," and your heart answered, Allah knows, these hidden victories may change a person more deeply than public success ever could. And this is where the idea of a hidden wali becomes powerful. The wali is not someone who walks around announcing closeness to Allah. The closer a sincere servant becomes, the more he may fear claiming anything for himself. He knows his weaknesses. He knows how quickly the heart changes. He knows that every good thing inside him is from Allah. So instead of saying, "Look at my rank," he becomes more concerned with protecting his heart from seeing a rank at all. That may be one of the deepest tests of spiritual promotion. Can Allah give you something without you turning it into an identity? Can He give you knowledge without you needing to become the knowledgeable one? Can He give you patience without you secretly admiring your patience? Can He give you influence without you becoming addicted to being followed? Can He give you a beautiful heart without you beginning to believe you are better than people? This is where many servants are tested. The gift itself is not always the danger. The person you become because of the gift can be the danger. So Allah may hide the servant while strengthening him. He may keep him ordinary in the eyes of people. He may remove attention. He may close doors of fame. He may allow others to overlook him, not because the servant has no value, but because being unseen may be protecting something inside him. Sometimes obscurity is mercy. If everyone knew what Allah was building inside you, your ego might try to take ownership of it. If everyone praised your transformation, you might begin performing the transformation for them. If everyone called you righteous, you might start protecting the image of righteousness instead of protecting your relationship with Allah. So the promotion remains hidden, and the servant continues washing dishes, going to work, taking care of family, walking through ordinary streets, speaking to ordinary people. From the outside, nothing looks extraordinary, but inside, a different battle is happening. He is learning to carry mercy without becoming proud of being merciful, to carry knowledge without becoming arrogant, to carry pain without spreading bitterness, to carry responsibility without demanding recognition. That is difficult, because the ego wants a badge for everything it survives. It wants people to know how patient you were, how much you sacrificed, how much you forgave, how deeply you understand. But the hidden servant learns another language. Allah saw it, that is enough. When this sentence becomes real inside the heart, something changes. You stop needing every good deed to return to you as praise. You stop needing every sacrifice to be acknowledged. You stop explaining every silent battle. You become less interested in being seen as spiritual and more interested in actually being sincere. And perhaps this is why the greatest promotion may sometimes look like disappearance. Allah removes the audience, then He watches what remains. If you still serve, the service was real. If you still forgive, the mercy was real. If you still worship, the devotion was real. If you still walk toward Allah when nobody knows your name, then perhaps your heart has begun entering a place the ego cannot easily follow. That is the secret office of a wali, not ruling people, not being admired, not collecting followers, but carrying a hidden trust with a heart that keeps saying, "This belongs to Allah, not to me." And when a servant can carry more without claiming more, serve more without displaying more, and become closer without feeling superior, then his greatest promotion may already have happened, and almost nobody noticed. Lesson 5. The new burden no one can see. There is a strange kind of elevation that does not make your life lighter, it makes your heart heavier. Not heavier with despair, heavier with responsibility. You begin to notice things you once ignored. A careless word stays in your heart longer. A bad intention troubles you faster. Hurting someone becomes harder to excuse. Pride becomes easier to detect. Praise becomes more dangerous. Even your own worship begins to frighten you if you feel the ego hiding inside it. Nothing outside may have changed, but inside you are carrying a new burden. And sometimes that burden is the first sign that Allah is teaching you to live at a deeper level. Many people think that when Allah raises a servant, the servant will feel stronger, more certain, more peaceful, more powerful. But the Sufi path teaches a harder idea. Sometimes a higher station means becoming more aware of what you are responsible for. Before, You only worried about your actions. Now you begin worrying about your intentions. Before, you asked, did I do something wrong? Now you ask, why did I do it? Was it truly for Allah? Was I secretly trying to impress someone? Did I forgive because I wanted peace, or because I wanted to feel morally above them? Did I stay silent because it was wise, or because I wanted people to notice my silence? Did I help that person out of mercy, or because I wanted to be needed? This is where the path becomes deeper, because outward goodness can sometimes hide an inward ego. And when Allah begins refining a servant, He may no longer allow that servant to feel comfortable with what is only beautiful on the surface. The heart starts being examined, quietly, closely, painfully. You begin discovering that the hardest sins are not always the ones people can see. Sometimes the real battle is hidden inside something good. You gave, but wanted praise. You forgave, but wanted them to feel guilty. You advised, but enjoyed feeling wiser. You stayed humble, but secretly admired your humility. You worshipped, but loved the idea of being someone who worships deeply. This is the burden nobody sees. People may look at you and think you are peaceful, but inside, you are fighting a war against the part of yourself that wants to own every good thing Allah gives you. And this battle can become exhausting, because the nafs can change clothes. When it cannot make you proud of money, it may make you proud of worship. When it cannot make you proud of beauty, it may make you proud of modesty. When it cannot make you proud of power, it may make you proud of patience. When it cannot make you feel superior through the world, it may try to make you feel superior through religion. That is why deeper spiritual growth does not always make a person feel more impressive. Sometimes it makes him feel more careful, more watchful, more dependent on Allah. The beginner may see 10 good deeds and feel proud. The deeper servant may see those same 10 deeds and ask Allah to protect them from hidden pride. That difference is important. The more you see your own heart clearly, the less interested you become in judging everyone else. You become slower to condemn, slower to speak, slower to believe that you fully understand another person's condition, because you have discovered something uncomfortable. If your own heart can hide motives from you, then how can you be so certain about someone else's heart? This realization creates mercy, not weakness, mercy. You begin seeing people differently. Someone may fall into a mistake. Before you would say, how could they do that? Now something inside you says, if Allah removed His protection from me, what would I become? That thought changes a person. It breaks the hunger to feel better than others. You stop looking at another person's fall as proof of your own goodness. You begin making dua for them. You begin fearing for yourself. You begin thanking Allah quietly for every evil He kept away from you. This is a heavier way to live, because now knowledge becomes responsibility. The more Allah teaches you, the less excuse you have for careless behavior. If you know the value of mercy, your cruelty becomes heavier. If you know the danger of pride, your arrogance becomes harder to ignore. If you know the value of silence, your unnecessary words begin to feel louder. If you know that Allah sees the heart, then even private intentions begin to matter deeply. So a servant may sometimes think, why does everything feel more serious now? Because perhaps your heart has been taught more, and what you know changes what you are responsible for. A child can carry a small cup, an adult can carry much more. In the same way, Allah may train a servant by increasing what his heart can carry. More patience, more restraint, more forgiveness, more responsibility, more truth. But here is the part many people miss. The burden is not proof that you are better than others. The moment you think that, the burden itself becomes another trap. You are not given more responsibility so you can admire yourself. You are given more responsibility so you can become more humble before Allah. The higher the trust, the greater the need for humility. The more you are given, the more you should fear losing sincerity. This is why a truly deep servant may look ordinary. He does not announce every inner battle. He does not say, look how much I carry. He does not turn pain into a crown. He carries it quietly. He may smile while fighting pride. He may serve others while fighting exhaustion. He may forgive while his ego is screaming for revenge. He may stay silent while every part of him wants to prove that he was right. And nobody knows. That is the new burden. People only see the decision. Allah sees the battle behind the decision. People see that you stayed calm. Allah knows what you defeated inside yourself to remain calm. People see that you forgave. Allah knows how deeply you were hurt. People see that you walked away. Allah knows how strongly your ego wanted the final word. People see nothing extraordinary. But perhaps heaven sees a servant learning to carry what he could not carry before. And this may be one of the hidden meanings of spiritual promotion. You are trusted with a heavier heart before you are ever given a higher name. So if you have become more careful with your intentions, more disturbed by your own pride, more responsible with your words, more merciful toward people, and more afraid of losing sincerity than losing recognition, do not rush to call this weakness. Something deeper may be happening. Perhaps Allah is teaching you that elevation is not always receiving more. Sometimes elevation is being trusted to carry more without becoming more important in your own eyes. That is the burden no one can see. And if you can carry it without turning it into a crown, then perhaps the burden itself is part of the promotion. Lesson 6. Why higher Awliya become more hidden? There is something strange about true spiritual growth. The higher a sincere servant rises, the less interested he may become in being seen. At the beginning of the journey, a person often wants signs. He wants to feel close to Allah. He wants to know that his prayers are accepted. He may even want people to notice that he has changed. But as the heart becomes deeper, something begins to disappear. The need to be known, the need to be praised, the need to be called special, the need to prove that you are close to Allah. And this is why some of the most sincere servants may become more hidden as they grow. Not because they hate people, not because they think they are above everyone, but because they begin to understand how dangerous attention can be for the heart. A little praise can become a seed. That seed can become pride. Pride can become an image. And soon the servant is no longer protecting his relationship with Allah. He is protecting the image people have of him. This is one of the most subtle traps of the spiritual path. A person may begin with sincerity. He prays quietly. He serves quietly. He cries before Allah quietly. But then people noticed. They praise his character. They speak about his wisdom. They begin coming to him for advice. And slowly, without realizing it, the heart may begin to enjoy being seen as righteous. Now a new danger appears. The servant may start doing for people what he once did only for Allah. The action looks the same, but the heart has changed. That is why being hidden can become a form of protection. Sometimes Allah protects a servant by not making him famous, by not giving him a large audience, by not letting everyone understand him, by allowing him to remain ordinary in the eyes of the world. This may look like being overlooked, but spiritually, it can be mercy. Because not every heart can survive attention. Some people can survive poverty, but cannot survive praise. They can survive rejection, but cannot survive admiration. They can survive being ignored, but lose themselves when people begin calling them special. So Allah may hide what He is building. A servant may become deeper, softer, more patient, more truthful, and more surrendered. Yet nobody knows. That can be beautiful. Because every good quality remains between the servant and Allah. No audience is needed, no reputation is being built, no spiritual identity is being protected, only the relationship remains. And this is where the hidden servant becomes strong. He learns to do good without witnesses. He learns to forgive without telling the story. He learns to give without making sure someone knows. He learns to pray without needing to feel impressive. He learns to serve without needing a title. He begins to understand that if Allah saw it, nothing else is missing. This is a great freedom. Many people live under the eyes of others. They are always asking, what do they think of me? Do they respect me? Did they notice what I did? Do they know how much I sacrificed? But the hidden servant begins escaping this prison. His question changes. He asks, was Allah pleased? That single question can free the heart from thousands of people. And this is why true hiddenness is not weakness. It is not disappearing because you are afraid. It is becoming so satisfied with Allah's knowledge of you that human recognition loses some of its power. This does not mean a sincere person must hide from society. It does not mean he cannot teach, lead, speak, work, or help people publicly. The deeper point is this: even if people know his name, his heart does not live on their attention. Even if people praise him, he does not build his identity from their praise. Even if people follow him, he remembers that he is still a servant. His body may be visible, but his rank remains hidden. His face may be known, but his real condition is known only to Allah. This is important because spiritual rank is not something a person should claim for himself. The one who is truly concerned with Allah is often more aware of his faults than his rank. He sees how many times he becomes impatient, how quickly pride can return, how weak he is without Allah's help. So instead of thinking, "I must be a special servant," he thinks, "How could I survive without Allah's mercy?" This humility protects him. The higher he rises in understanding, the smaller he may feel before Allah. This is the opposite of worldly promotion. In the world, promotion often gives you a larger title. More people know you, more doors open, more attention comes. But spiritual promotion can work in the opposite direction. The ego becomes smaller, the need for recognition becomes weaker, the servant becomes less interested in being important. He begins to love simple things, a quiet prayer, a hidden act of kindness, helping someone who can never repay him, doing something beautiful that nobody will ever connect to his name. These moments become precious. Why? Because they are safer. There is less room for the ego. Imagine a servant who gives money secretly. Nobody thanks him, nobody praises him. Nobody tells others how generous he is. Only Allah knows. For the ego, this feels like loss. For the sincere heart, it can feel like freedom. Imagine someone insults him and he forgives privately. He does not post about forgiveness. He does not tell 10 people how patient he was. He simply lets it go for Allah. Again, the world sees nothing, but the hidden life of the heart has changed. This is where some of the greatest victories happen, not in front of crowds, not on stages, not under bright lights, but inside moments nobody records. The moment you refuse to answer an insult, the moment you stop yourself from exposing someone, the moment you do good and choose not to mention it, the moment you feel pride rising and immediately ask Allah to cleanse your heart. These are invisible battles, and invisible battles can build invisible ranks. This is why the higher servant may become harder to recognize. People often search for spiritual greatness in the wrong places. They look for unusual speech, strange stories, public miracles, huge followings, a powerful presence, but sometimes the person closest to Allah may look completely normal. He works, he eats, he laughs, he takes care of his family. He walks past people who have no idea what his heart carries. There may be nothing about him that makes the crowd stop and stare. And perhaps that is part of the protection, because if everyone knew, the test would change. If everyone praised, the ego would have a new battlefield. If everyone called him righteous, he might begin worrying about keeping the label. So Allah may protect him through ordinary life. The outside remains simple, the inside becomes vast. This is one of the beautiful mysteries of hiddenness. The world measures importance by how many people know your name. The path to Allah teaches something different. Your name can be small on earth, while your obedience is great before Allah. You can be forgotten by people and still be remembered in mercy. You can have no title and still carry a heart full of surrender. You can live without applause and still be deeply valuable. And once the servant understands this, attention begins to lose its sweetness. He does not need everyone to know his journey. He stops explaining every transformation. He stops trying to prove how much he has suffered. He stops needing people to understand every choice. Some things become private, not because he is hiding a false image, because he is protecting something sacred. There are prayers that become more beautiful because nobody knows about them. There are tears that become more precious because only Allah saw them. There are acts of mercy that become purer because nobody thanked you. There are sacrifices that become heavier in reward because nobody applauded. The hidden servant learns to love these unseen places, and slowly the heart changes. He no longer says, "I want to be known as someone close to Allah." He begins to say, "I only want Allah to bring me close." That difference changes everything. One desire seeks a reputation, the other seeks Allah. One wants people to see the light, the other simply wants the heart to remain sincere. And perhaps this is why some awliya become more hidden as they rise. The closer they come, the less they need the world to confirm it. The more Allah gives them inwardly, the less hungry they become for outward recognition. The more they understand the danger of the ego, the more carefully they protect what is between them and Allah. So do not assume that every hidden season means you have been forgotten. Do not think that being unseen means being useless. Do not believe that a quiet life has no spiritual value. Sometimes Allah hides a servant because hiddenness is exactly what protects the next stage of his journey. The world may overlook him, people may misunderstand him, his name may never become famous, but if his heart is becoming more sincere, more humble, more merciful, and more attached to Allah, then something greater than fame is happening. He is learning to live where the ego receives almost nothing, and the soul receives everything. That is why the higher awliya may become more hidden, not because they have nothing to show, but because they no longer need to show what Allah already knows. Lesson 7. When your name falls but your rank rises, there is a final kind of promotion that the ego does not understand. Your name becomes smaller. Your need to be known becomes weaker. Your place in people's minds becomes less important. And yet your heart may be moving closer to Allah. This is the strange ending of the hidden path. You may lose importance in the eyes of people while gaining depth before Allah. The world teaches you to build a name, to become known, to become respected, to make people remember you. But the path of sincerity teaches something very different. Sometimes the greatest freedom begins when your name stops being the center of your life. You no longer need every room to notice you. You no longer need every person to understand you. You no longer need your goodness to be remembered. You no longer need to win every argument. You no longer need people to know how much you sacrificed. Something inside you becomes quieter, and that quietness can be more valuable than recognition, because one of the hardest idols to break is the image we build of ourselves, the good person, the wise person, the patient person, the spiritual person, the one who always understands, the one who has been through more than others. Even a beautiful identity can become a hidden prison. You may begin protecting your image instead of protecting your heart. You may fear being misunderstood because your image matters too much. You may become angry when someone does not respect you because your name has become precious to you. You may do good, but quietly hope that the good becomes part of your reputation. This is where spiritual growth becomes dangerous for the ego, because Allah may teach a servant to let even that identity fall. Someone may misunderstand you, and you cannot correct everything. Someone may forget what you did for them, and you cannot force gratitude. Someone may receive credit for something you helped build, and your heart must choose peace. People who once admired you may stop noticing you. The world may move on, and suddenly you are standing before a painful question. If nobody remembers my goodness, was Allah still enough? That question exposes the heart. It reveals whether you were serving Allah or secretly serving your own name. This does not mean reputation is evil. It does not mean you should allow people to lie about you or destroy your rights. It means your heart must not become dependent on being seen correctly by everyone. There comes a point where you realize people will misunderstand parts of your life. Some will judge a chapter without knowing the whole story. Some will forget your kindness. Some will remember your mistakes longer than your goodness. Some will speak about you in ways you cannot control. And if your peace depends on controlling every opinion, you will never be free. The hidden servant learns another way. He says, Allah knows what I intended. That sentence is not an excuse for wrongdoing. It is not permission to ignore correction. It is a place of rest after you have done what is right. You correct what should be corrected. You apologize when you are wrong. You repair what you can. But after that, you stop worshipping people's understanding. You leave what you cannot control with Allah. This is where your name begins to fall. Not necessarily publicly, inside you. Your name loses its throne. You stop asking, "Do they know who I am?" You start asking, "Does Allah know that I am trying to be sincere?" You stop asking, "Why did they not appreciate me?" You ask, "Was my action truly for Allah?" You stop asking, "Why am I not being recognized?" You ask, "Would I still do this if nobody ever knew?" These questions are painful, but they clean the heart. And something beautiful happens when your need for recognition weakens. You become harder to control. Praise cannot lift you as easily. Criticism cannot destroy you as easily. Being ignored cannot empty you as easily. Being celebrated cannot intoxicate you as easily. Why? Because your value is no longer being decided every hour by other people. Your heart has begun looking somewhere higher. This is one of the great forms of inner freedom. A person whose identity lives in people's hands is always unstable. One compliment makes him happy. One insult ruins his day. One person accepts him and he feels valuable. Another rejects him and he feels worthless. But the servant who is learning to live before Allah becomes steadier. He still feels pain. He is still human. Words can still hurt. Rejection can still wound. But those things no longer define his entire worth. He begins to understand, being unseen by people does not mean being unseen by Allah, and this changes the way he serves. Now he can help someone who may never thank him. He can make dua for someone who does not know. He can forgive without receiving a public apology. He can give without attaching his name. He can walk away from an argument even when he knows he could win. He can let another person receive attention without feeling that something has been stolen from him. These may look like small things, but for the ego, they are huge, because the ego wants ownership. My effort, my sacrifice, my wisdom, my pain, my success, my position, my name. The deeper path begins loosening this word, my, not because you stop having responsibilities, not because you stop having a personality, but because you begin remembering that everything good you carry is a trust from Allah. Your intelligence is a trust. Your patience is a trust. Your influence is a trust. Your ability to help is a trust. Even the spiritual lessons you have learned are a trust. Once you see them as gifts, pride becomes harder to justify. You stop saying, "Look what I became," and you begin thinking, "Look how much Allah protected me from becoming what I could have become without His mercy." That thought creates humility, and humility changes the way a servant sees other people. He stops using his growth to look down on those still struggling. He remembers his own weak days. He remembers the sins Allah covered, the mistakes nobody knows, the moments when he almost fell, the times mercy reached him before consequences did. How can he become arrogant after remembering all of that? So the higher the heart rises in gratitude, the lower the ego may bow. That is the paradox. Your rank rises, but your opinion of yourself becomes smaller. Your understanding grows, but your certainty about your own greatness disappears. Your worship becomes deeper, but you become more afraid of showing off. Your character improves, but you become more aware that every improvement came through Allah's help. This is not low self-worth, it is spiritual clarity. You know your value as a servant of Allah, but you no longer need to turn that value into superiority. You can be honored without needing to feel above anyone. And that may be one of the safest forms of elevation, because what is the use of rising outwardly if pride rises with you? What is the use of gaining knowledge if the knowledge makes you cruel? What is the use of worship if worship makes you admire yourself? What is the use of being called righteous if your heart secretly begins worshipping the title? Sometimes the greatest protection is that Allah allows your name to remain small while your character becomes large. Your audience may not grow, but your patience does. Your reputation may not rise, but your sincerity does. Your position may not change, but your mercy does. People may not see anything dramatic, but you become less angry, less jealous, less hungry for praise, less controlled by comparison, more forgiving, more truthful, more gentle, more careful with the heart. Is that not a kind of rise? The world may not know how to measure it, but the soul feels the difference. This is why you should be careful when measuring your spiritual life only through visible success. Not every promotion comes with a platform. Not every elevation brings attention. Not every gift looks like a gift. Sometimes Allah gives you something far more valuable. He makes you less dependent on everything that once controlled you. That person's approval, that title, that audience, that reputation, that need to be admired. And one by one, the chains fall. You begin to walk lighter. Now imagine the final test. You do something beautiful. Nobody notices. Do you still smile? You sacrificed. Nobody thanks you. Can you still leave it with Allah? You are misunderstood. You know you could spend hours defending yourself. Can you speak only what is necessary and leave the rest? Another person receives the praise. Can your heart remain clean? You lose a position. Can you still worship with the same love? Your name is no longer mentioned. Can you still serve? This is where hidden promotion becomes real. Because the deepest rise may not be when everyone finally sees your value. It may be when you no longer need everyone to see it. Then your name can fall without your heart falling. Your position can change without your faith changing. People can forget you without you forgetting Allah. The world can become quieter around you while your inner life becomes richer. And perhaps this is one of the most beautiful meanings of being secretly raised. Allah removes the need to appear high. He teaches you to bow lower. He teaches you to become useful without becoming important in your own eyes. He teaches you to carry goodness without writing your name across it. He teaches you to leave some victories completely unseen, until finally, the servant understands. The goal was never to become someone people would call a Wali. The goal was to become a servant Allah is pleased with. And when that becomes enough, when being known by people becomes smaller than being known by Allah, when applause becomes weaker than sincerity, when your name can disappear and your obedience remains, then something inside you has truly changed. The world may say you became less visible. Your ego may say you lost something. People may even think your season has ended. But perhaps, in the hidden life of the heart, the opposite has happened. Your name fell. Your ego became smaller. Your need for the world became weaker. And your heart learned how to stand before Allah without an audience. That may be the invisible promotion no one can announce, the rise no title can prove, the rank no crowd can confirm, a servant becoming smaller in his own eyes while becoming more sincere before his Lord. Ya Allah, raise my heart without raising my ego. Keep me sincere when no one sees me, humble when you bless me, and faithful when the signs disappear. Let me seek your pleasure, not people's praise, and protect me from ever becoming proud of what only your mercy made possible. Ameen.